Okay, so we got all this set and done. Now let's see if this would be ready. Just want to check if... we got a signal. We got a signal.
Now let's see.
Okay, so I think we're all set and done. Oh boy. Okay, wait a minute.
We got a signal.
Didn't really want to...
Okay.
Hold on a sec.
So,
Wait, just need to fix everything. There we go. Okay. So, first of all, I don't know why I even have this there. Just want to... There we go. I don't know why the crosshairs are even there in the first place. There, now the whole setup is all there. Yes, hello everybody! Hello! Yeah, sorry about that little echo. Just needed to prepare some things. But yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. First and foremost, how is everybody doing? I just want to see the chat wall. I can see that everybody's all live and ready. So, how are we all doing today? I see so far that, wow, people right off the bat, they immediately have some stuff to say. Oh, wow. My week has been absolutely exhausting. I was working late at my school for a production of The Addams Family. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so, yes, I see everybody's pretty much set up and ready. So, there is one thing that I would like to start things off by mentioning about this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, is that coincidentally enough, we have a very Disney-centric episode. So what's going to be happening right here is that most of the stories that I have for you today will be related to some really big news coming from Disney, since they're all coincidentally happening throughout the week. They got some brand new chief creative officers, they got some brand new box office records, they got a brand new deal with Fox in order to keep them in the Disney family, and so much more. I will have one story, however, that will not be Disney related, but for the rest of this, it will be all about Disney. So, with all that said and done, I would like to know from you guys, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Oh boy, oh wow, I already see already in the chat wall, so many people are mentioning that it's Disney time. It's already Disney time. Alright, and now we got, yep, everybody's ready. Everybody is all ready. Perfect. So, with all that said and done, let's go right ahead and begin the podcast. So, the first episode that I have for you guys is actually related to a really big rumor. Now, this was something that has been circulating ever since one little scandal has happened. And for the longest time, people have always pointed out to these two specific people that they are going to be the new heads of Disney Animation. So with all that said and done, we have waited for so long to see what would happen. We finally got word that he would step down, and now they have officially said it. Yes, after all this time, we now have the new chief creative officers of Pixar and Disney. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jennifer Lee and Pete Docter. After the entire months that we've had hearing the rumors, Disney has officially confirmed that, in fact, Pete Docter will be the brand new chief creative officer of Pixar Animation Studios, and that Jennifer Lee is going to be the new chief creative officer at Walt Disney Animation Studios. Both of them are going to be replacing John Lasseter, in which recently he has announced that he is only going to be having a consultant role throughout this year, and then by the end of 2018, he is going to be stepping down. Now, I'm sure longtime listeners to my podcast, you might know what pretty much happened with John Lasseter, but basically, long story short, he was caught in the midst of the #MeToo movement, where it was revealed that, yes, he did indeed made a lot of sexual misconducts, whether it be by awkward hugs, grabbing legs, or kissing them by the lips. And, I mean, he's not as bad necessarily as much as either Chris Savino or John Cristofalusi, but still, what he has done is pretty much wrong. And what happened afterwards was that John Lasseter had to take a whole 6-month sabbatical for him and Disney to know what to do in the future, and considering that nowadays he's no longer as welcome to the Disney company as he used to be, he decided it would be best for everyone if he would just ultimately leave, and now we got the brand new chief creative officers, which are very prominent directors both at Disney and Pixar. Now, beforehand, I just want to give you guys a bit of a quick summary about these two individuals right here, in case you might have lived under a rock and you don't even know who these people are. So, first and foremost, we got Pete Docter right over here, which he has been in Pixar since the very beginning. In fact, he's actually one of the first people ever to be hired at Pixar next to Andrew Stanton. And ever since then, he has actually become a two-time Oscar-winning director, where he has directed 3 Pixar films that are very well known, very beloved, and, you know, some of the biggest and best animated films that we've got in recent years. He was the director of Monsters, Inc., he was the director of Up, and he was the director of Inside Out, on top of being a creative consultant in many Pixar films and also an executive producer. While Jennifer Lee, on the other hand, she's not as much of a veteran as Pete Docter in terms of Disney animation, but she did definitely collaborate in some major parts. In fact, in my source here, Deadline, there is a bit of a good summary of the stuff that she has done. Actually. Right here, I'm just going to read this little part right over here, which it states, Jennifer Lee joined Walt Disney Animation Studios in 2011 as the co-writer of the Oscar-nominated Wreck-It Ralph. Along with Chris Buck, she directed and wrote the $1.3 billion global success Frozen, which took the Oscar for Best Animated Feature and spanned a best-selling anthem and Oscar-winning tune, Let It Go, and has spawned a Tony Award-nominated musical. Lee played also a key member of the story team for the Oscar winner Zootopia and is currently in production for Frozen 2, due out for November of next year. And she's also an executive producer for Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, due on November 21st. We also got a quote coming from the chairman of Walt Disney Studios, Alan Horn, in which he brought out a comment regarding the addition of Jennifer Lee and also Pete Docter, in which he has stated, Jennifer Lee and Pete Docter are 2 of the most gifted filmmakers and storytellers I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Pete, the genius behind the creative force behind Up, Inside Out, and Monsters, Inc., has been an integral part of Pixar almost since the beginning and is a huge part of its industry-leading success. Jen, in bringing her bold vision to the boundary-breaking Frozen, has helped infuse Disney animation with a new and exciting perspective. We also received a comment from both Lee and Docter regarding their brand new positions, in which Jennifer Lee stated, animation is the most collaborative art form in the world, and it is with the partnership of my fellow filmmakers, artists, and innovators that we look ahead to the future, Lee said in a statement. My hope is to support the incredible talent we have, find new voices, and work together to tell original stories. The great films of Disney animation, the films I loved as a kid and my daughter has grown up loving, are magical, timeless, and full of heart, and it is our goal to create films that carry on and grow this 95-year legacy for future generations. We also received a comment from Pete Docter, in which he has stated, I am excited and humbled to be asked to take on this role. It is not something I take lightly. Making films at Pixar has been my chronic obsession since I started here 28 years ago. I am fortunate to work alongside some of the most talented people on the planet, and together we will keep pushing animation in new directions, using the latest technology to tell stories we hope will surprise and delight audiences around the world. So that's pretty much the whole story with what's going on. Now we officially got the word that Pete Docter and Jennifer Lee are going to be John Lasseter's replacements. And what is actually interesting to comment in this little thing here is that I have seen ever since the announcement was made that John Lasseter would officially step down from working at Disney, a lot of people have been asking the wrong question, or at least I feel like people have been asking the wrong question, where people are basically acting like, oh, what's gonna happen to Disney now that John Lasseter is leaving? What is Disney gonna do without John Lasseter? No, that's not what you should be asking. You shouldn't look at Disney without John Lasseter. The true question that you should be asking is, what is Disney going to do under this new leadership? What are they going to do now that Pete Docter and Jennifer Lee are going to creatively be in charge? Well, first and foremost, I'm going to say right now that maybe the changes are not going to be as big as you would probably expect. Yes, it is a massive change, the fact that John Lasseter is stepping down and now we got some new leaders right over here, but not necessarily the other big heads are changing as well. Because the thing is that we still got some of the other major leaders that are still sticking around, especially Ed Catmull, who is still the president of both Disney and Pixar Animation. And on top of that, we still have Jim Morris, who is the president of Pixar, and also Andrew Milstein as the president of Disney. Like, that is still going on as well. That is not changing. It's just one part of the leadership that will change, and it's not going to be that big of an impact as well. It's not like we're going to see this major new chapter in Disney's history. Like, we will see some significant changes, but I'm not expecting something that will be as big in order to make a major impact in terms of what's going on right now. We're not going to see that big of a change from Disney Animation or Pixar Animation. And one thing's for sure, I will say right now that I have full confidence in Pete Docter to be the new John Lasseter. Okay, well, no, not literally be the new John Lasseter. Like, I am hoping he will treat women better than John. But what I am saying here is that I am hoping that he will do a great job being the new John Lasseter, because the thing is, like I said before, Pete Docter has been raised by Pixar. He has been working there ever since the very beginnings, and he knows Pixar both inside and out, no pun intended. And this guy, like, he had a lot of mentorship from John Lasseter to know how to create animated films in a creative sense. And considering that he knows the ways of how to produce a Pixar film, how to direct a Pixar film, considering that he has worked on several original Pixar films himself, he knows the ins and outs of how it's going to work. So with Pete Docter, I think Pixar is definitely in good hands, and they will have someone who understands the creative mindset of Pixar in order to go and create them. Now, when it comes to Jennifer Lee, however, I feel like this is going to be a little bit more unpredictable. Now, I am not saying that as a bad thing. I am confident that she could do an amazing job. Maybe she'll even do even better than John Lasseter. The reason why I'm saying this, though, is because she doesn't have as much experience as Pete Docter in her respective animation studio. She doesn't necessarily count as like a full-on veteran. Like, she's not one of those people that she came from the ground up, where she worked as an animator and she would go up and say, "Oh, I had mentorship from the 9 old men," and stuff like that. She actually came in this decade and really became a major powerhouse working on the modern Disney films like Wreck-It Ralph, and especially with Frozen, and even helping out on some of the other movies as well, like Zootopia and, of course, Wreck-It Ralph 2. So it's going to be a little bit unpredictable with the direction that she would go, but I am hoping for the best that she could actually do a great job. But I will say there is one thing that is actually really, really awesome over the fact that now Jennifer Lee is the new Chief Creative Officer of Pixar. And it's really from the perspective of the #MeToo movement, because that's the big reason why John Lasseter is out in the first place, is because he has done some really bad sexual misconducts, and nowadays John Lasseter is not as viewed as the animation legend that he was before. So now, who's going to be replacing his job? Of course, it's gonna be a woman. So that, I find that it's actually really cool, and especially the fact that it is coming from one of Disney's most successful, or actually scratch that, considering that it is a woman who is partly responsible for the most successful Disney film ever made so far, I think it's actually a really interesting choice, and it is something that it is really cool to see. So that is actually, so honestly, I do find it great that they made, that Disney actually made some right choices, some really good choices, in order to find the new heirs for John Lasseter's replacement, that we got people like Pete Docter and that we got Jennifer Lee. And for me, I really do wish them the best of luck under their new leadership. And also, I just want to say right now, because they are now the newly appointed chief creative officers, don't expect their impact to immediately happen. That, okay, so now Incredibles 2 is done, and once we see Toy Story 4, that's when everything is going to change with both Disney and Pixar. It's not going to work like that. It's going to take several years before we do see any significant changes, or we do see anything that's different between the leadership under them and the leadership under John Lasseter. I think it's easy to say that anybody listening to this knows that making an animated film takes several years in order to create. So the thing is, when you see this right here, like right now, they are, like at Disney and Pixar, they are currently working on the animated films for not just in 2019, but also the animated films for 2020 and 2021. So what I'm expecting is that the only time, like the time that we are going to start to see an impact in terms of Disney animation and Pixar animation under the new leadership of Jennifer Lee and Pete Docter would probably be sometime around 2021 and 2022. That will be the time when their leadership will have more of an impact to the film, more so than just John Lasseter's. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's a lot like when John Lasseter and Ed Catmull were the new leaders of animation. It took a while. Like, they actually came in when they were, like, I think they were appointed, like, at the end of 2005 or at the beginning of 2006, and their impact wouldn't actually make it until sometime like years later, like in 2009 or in 2010 even. So you just need to be patient, and you just need to go and take some time. So we'll just have to be patient and see what's going to be going on with them. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall right now, and I want to know about your opinion. What do you guys think about having Pete Docter and Jennifer Lee as the brand new John Lasseter of Disney Animation and Pixar Animation, or the brand new chief creative officers per se? Do you think they're going to do a great job? Do you think you'll have a bit of doubt? Are you excited for the future of Disney? Are you a little bit worried? I would like to know what you guys think, so I'm just going to go here and see what they have. Let's see. I want Andrew Stanton to be Pete's second in command at Pixar. Oh, that would be an interesting choice. Well, I mean, like, at Pixar, you do have some great options there. It's not just Pete Docter and Andrew Stanton. I mean, you also got, like, Lee Unkrich as well. That could be a great choice. Or even, like, Brad Bird would actually be really awesome as well. I mean, like, the guy nowadays really does have an infinite love for animation, and also has a great knack for filmmaking. Let's see, we got from Tyler. It says, I completely agree with Pete Docter being the right choice for Pixar. Perfect. Jennifer Lee, I'm a little worried. I love Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen, but she doesn't have a large filmography, and she did work on the new Wrinkle in Time, in which was kind of a mess. I'm adopting a wait and see approach, but at the end of the day, I hope she does a good job. Yeah, that is true, and I think that's kind of the big thing with Jennifer Lee, is more so her experience. It's more the fact that she doesn't have as much experience as Pete Docter. That does make it a little bit unpredictable, and it does make it a little bit more unpredictable and worrisome about the future of Disney. So who knows? But yeah, I definitely do agree. We would probably have a bit more of a wait and see attitude with Jennifer Lee, but yeah, hopefully she will do a great job with what's going on in there. Do we have any more comments on what's going on? They made a good choice, and I'm looking forward to Disney's future. Okay, so, it's nice to see that, it's honestly nice that we do got a lot of optimists right over here. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say that we will all wish the best of luck to Pete Docter and Jennifer Lee for their brand new jobs and their brand new big responsibility working as the new chief creative officers of Disney and Pixar. Okay, so that's our little story with that. But our trail with Disney is not over yet, of course, because we're going to be going right now back in time just to last week. Because if you guys remember, of course, last week it was the big release of the long-awaited animated sequel, Incredibles 2. And I'm sure some of you have already watched Incredibles 2. I can say right now that I've already seen the movie twice and I've had a blast. It really is a lot of fun to go and okay, there we go. It's a lot of fun to go and check out. But with that said though, when The Incredibles 2 came in, my god, it was a success. And not just a success, but also it was a record-breaking success. And it broke the records with no problem whatsoever. Yes, I know, phone, you want some attention, but can you please be patient? I am in the middle of a podcast right now. Gracias, señor. Alright, let's get back into it. Yes, Incredibles 2 has broken records for animated films at the box office, and I might as well go ahead and start things off with the ginormous one, and the biggest one that it broke out. It is now officially the biggest opening ever, or the biggest opening weekend ever for an animated feature, where it made a grand total of $182.7 million on its opening weekend alone. The previous record holder was actually held by Finding Dory, coincidentally another Pixar sequel, where it opened with $135 million. But that is not all, though. It also broke fudge nabbit. Stupid spit. Alright, it needs to learn how to get in the wrong hole. It needs to learn how to get in the right hole. But anyways, as I was saying, now, this $182 million opening, that's not the only one that it managed to break. It's not just for animated films that it really did set a brand new record. It is also the biggest opening ever for a PG movie. It is the second biggest opening ever for a movie released in June, right behind Jurassic World. It is the fourth biggest opening ever for a movie released in the summer, which I think it's behind Jurassic World and also two of the Avengers movies, like the first Avengers and Age of Ultron, I believe. I could actually check that out. I am using my source here at Box Office Mojo, so there is, yes, opening weekend in the summer. Yes, okay, yeah, exactly. It's behind Jurassic World, Avengers, and Age of Ultron. Okay, so I was right on that. And also, in terms of movies in general, the one thing I will say about Incredibles 2 is that with that number, it is the 8th largest opening weekend ever. The 8th in general. But on top of that, it also broke several records as well in different sectors, where Incredibles 2 actually had the biggest ever Thursday preview, where on Thursday, before the movie's release date, it actually opened up with $18.5 million. Literally twice as much as the previous record holder from Finding Dory, which actually opened with $9.2 million. And it even made a statement that this opening is much bigger than most other films, actually. Like, bigger than the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast, which had a preview of $16.3 million, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, and even Justice League. But on top of that, it also had the biggest single-day record for an animated film, where on Friday, June 15th, it actually made a grand total of $171.2 million in that one day alone. So that's basically the whole thing, is that right now, Incredibles 2 is breaking records easily, like no problem. And I think even right now, as I'm recording this, it is still holding on well against Jurassic World 2 or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Like, even though that movie is big, Incredibles 2 is still making a very large impact. In fact, as I am recording this right now, the domestic box office that it has, it's getting real, like, I'm sure by the end of this weekend, it's already going to pass $300 million, which, getting that in 1 week for an animated film, that is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm just going to say right now, the fact that an animated feature was actually capable of getting $182.7 million on its opening weekend alone, that is insane. Because you gotta keep in mind, the grand majority of animated features can't even make $182 million domestically at the box office. Heck, there are even some out there that can't even make $182 million in total. In fact, I actually did the calculations. Now, if you take Incredibles 2, and you would go and calculate all the stuff that they've made just on the opening weekend alone, and if you include the Thursday opening, if you take those 4 days, it actually made equally as much as Early Man, Isle of Dogs, and Sherlock Gnomes if you combine all their worldwide box office totals together. You combine all that, and you pretty much get Incredibles 2, how much it made on its first 4 days, including the Thursday preview. That is how much this is a massive powerhouse. And it is truly insane to see how it is going. And you could tell this is definitely going to be one of the biggest movies of the summer. So with that said, it really is astounding the fact that Incredibles 2 would easily go ahead and manage to break records. But some of you might be wondering, how? How is it that this movie in particular managed to break these records immediately when he came out? I will pretty much say right now that if there is one reason why it's so successful, it's because them curves, yo. I mean, check out Elastigirl. She's got a booty to die for. She's got some amazing cup. She's got an amazing cup size on her. Like, whoo, damn, she is fine as hell. Nah, I'm just kidding. Of course. I mean, my God, Elastigirl, of course, she's a beautiful woman, but that's not the reason. Of course, I mean, okay, so you got a preview of what the next one could be, but anyways, what I mean is that, the thing is, the big reason why, of course, Incredibles 2 had an amazing opening is because people have been waiting for this for 14 years. I am serious when I say that this is the most anticipated animated sequel of all time. It is absolutely crazy how many times people have waited and demanded in order for another installment of The Incredibles and to see the conclusion of the epic battle between the Parr family versus the Underminer. People have been waiting for that for so long, and Pixar has been teasing that they would make sequel after sequel after sequel, but none of which is actually Incredibles. I mean, yeah, they do it to Toy Story, they do it to Cars, a couple of times even. They did it to Monsters, Inc., and they even did it to freaking Finding Nemo. And what people wanted the most, though, is Incredibles. We want another sequel to Incredibles, and now that they've delivered it, of course, people will follow no matter what. It's the moment that people have been waiting for. And also, this leads to my second reason why is it so successful. It's also, and this is also going to be something that will benefit them in the long run, it's actually the fact that it is not just a sequel, it is a worthy sequel. Because the thing is with Incredibles 2, its biggest goal is to make sure that it made a follow-up that would satisfy Incredibles fans. It doesn't have to be equally as good as The Incredibles. It doesn't even have to be better than The Incredibles. It just has to be a worthy successor, at least good enough in order to go and create another Incredibles so that fans are actually happy in terms of the stuff that they got more family, more family values, more heart of that, and also more superhero action. And The Incredibles 2 managed to deliver on all those counts. So this is something that not only people are happy with, but this also comes to my third reason. It's the rewatchability. You have to keep in mind that many of these tickets are not just going to be from people who will just see it once and then go. Because this is a bit of a trend when it comes to superhero films in general. You might have seen that people are so much fans of Incredibles 2 that they want to go and try to, like, they love it so much that they would actually go and watch it again. And I even stated this before, that I've already seen the movie twice right now, so I would be more than happy to give Pixar my money to go and see The Incredibles again and again. And I'm sure that there are definitely going to be some Incredibles fans that they will love this movie so much that they're not going to just watch it once. They're going to go see it again and again. And even if it's something like, like there isn't much to watch if people are not interested in some of the big movies that are out, like Jurassic World, or like some of the upcoming ones like Skyscraper or stuff like that, then they'll just stick to watching Incredibles 2 again, and they want to bring their friends, they want to bring their family, they want to go and do that stuff. So it has that it does have that rewatchability. And finally, the fourth reason why it is so big, and why is it that people would want to see The Incredibles 2? And this actually does go with when it was released, is because this is very clever on Pixar's part. It's the fact that it was released on Father's Day weekend. And that's really a big thing about Father's Day weekend. Because with Incredibles 2, one of the big themes of the movie is actually about fatherhood, where part of the story is actually about Bob, where he decided he's going to go stay at home and he'll take care of the kids. Where we got a teenager with Violet, we got a regular kid with Dash, and we got a baby with Jack, while Helen goes out and does all the superhero work. That's the big thing. And we see we see like how Bob is trying his best in order to maintain all that at once and try to be a good dad to his kids and prove to his wife that he is capable for the job. So this definitely is a perfect father-themed movie if there are some kids that want to bring their dad to watch Incredibles 2. So it was a bit of like a Father's Day gift, in a sense, to go and check out Incredibles 2. So this really was clever in Disney's part to release it at that time. I know Disney would regularly release Pixar films in the middle of June, but in the case of Incredibles 2, it actually really benefited them a lot, to the point that now it really did break records. So that's pretty much all the reasons right there. And at this point, if we do look into the long run, there is no doubt in my mind that we are going to see this movie hit $1 billion at the box office. I've already, even as I stated before, it's only been a week that this film is in theaters, and already at the domestic box office, it made about $300 million. So it's going to be no surprise that it's really going to be successful, to the point where it's really going to make a lot of money, and it will cross that $1 billion mark, a lot like how Finding Dory did it. But I'm sure a lot of people, I've already seen it in the chat wall, people have been asking, oh, well, what about the big one? Is Incredibles 2 going to be the highest grossing animated feature of all time and beat out Frozen? And to that I will say, I honestly don't know. That's probably the most unpredictable thing, because once they cross that $1 billion mark, you don't know if really it will continue to pile up. I'm sure a lot of people have been asking that before with some other movies. I remember at the time when people have even been asking if Minions would actually be the brand new highest grossing animated feature of all time, because it was still, we saw it still climbing up even after it hit $1 billion at the box office. So it did make a lot of people question, but at the end of the day, no, it only sit in second place. So it's going to be tough, but I feel like in the case of Incredibles 2, it really would depend on the other movies to see if if the other big summer films are not going to be up to the same standard as Incredibles 2. And I don't mean just the summer movies. I don't mean stuff like Jurassic World and Ant-Man and the Wasp and all that stuff. But even like if you look at the kids movies, like if movies like Teen Titans Go to the Movies or Hotel Transylvania 3 isn't what fans were expecting and they decide to reject them more so than to accept them in the way that they accept Incredibles 2, then I think the Pixar film is definitely going to have an easy path to be a lot more successful, and maybe it could pass. So for me, in terms of the highest grossing animated feature of all time, to that I will say, I don't know. It's just, for this, we'll have a bit of a wait and see attitude, and we will see, we'll have to wait and see with how the international markets will respond as well. We know that domestically, people are reacting to this extremely positively. But in terms of the foreign box office, we'll have to wait and see, especially like in China, if they are going to fall in love with Incredibles 2. So honestly, we'll have to be patient and we'll have to look throughout the summer to see how things are going to go with this film. So, with all that said and done, that's pretty much my little say on the record-breaking numbers that Incredibles 2 has delivered. So I want to know, coming from you guys, what do you think about Incredibles 2 box office records? What do you think about that? And also, what do you think about the future? Are you going to be excited to see the numbers it's going to break at the box office? Do you think it's going to be the highest grossing animated feature of all time, beating out Frozen? Or do you think it's just going to pass the $1 billion mark and then that's it? So let's see. Just wait till this will convince Pixar to do Incredibles 3. Well, that's the thing. I mean, we just talked about having a new leadership, so who knows? I don't really see if Pixar would actually do so. Okay, so well, apparently, okay, so some people are I see some people, they are hoping that it would beat out Frozen. Some people are not surprised if it would happen. So let's see. Yeah, so we got a lot of people, apparently, they're hoping this would actually beat out Frozen, so, who knows what's going to happen, but, we'll still, do you think Jurassic World 2 will still do good? Yeah, well, I mean, like, right now, it is still doing well on its own, so I think it is going to be fine, but Incredibles 2 will still be strong regardless during that time. Okay, so, yeah, and I see some people are talking about Jurassic World instead of Incredibles. Oh my god, I honestly do not care. I don't even like, I didn't really like the first Jurassic World, to be honest. I mean, it looks great, the visuals are really stunning, and it's cool to see dinosaurs, but other than that, it's just a cheap crap film that's in it with not so good acting, to be honest. Okay, so, I think, oh, and finally, FNAF destroy Frozen's popularity once and for all, like this right now. Okay. Alright. So, anyways, with all that said and done, I think we're pretty much good with Incredibles 2. So we're just gonna go ahead and leave it there and just let it simmer at the box office to see how big its numbers will go. But with all that said, let's go ahead and move to our next Disney story right over here, which is actually a little bit of an update. Yes, we actually got a big update to one of last week's stories. Now, if you may recall, we had a brand new offer that is making things a little bit more interesting over one of the biggest purchases that Disney is trying to make. However, this week, Disney came in and said, wait. We got something a whole lot bigger. And what I mean here, it is with the Fox deal. Yes, with the big Disney Fox deal. Where, if you may recall last week, Comcast decided to go and step in and they told Disney, they told Fox, hey, listen guys, it's nice that you're doing your little deal with Disney, but how about you come with us and we will give you $65 billion all in cash. What do you say? But from there, Disney decided to step in. A week later, it said, girl, you ain't touching my Fox. They decided to step in. Okay, you know that $52.4 billion? Yeah, we were about to give it to you, but we're not doing that anymore. Instead, what we will give you is $71.3 billion. They really jacked up the price right there. And, actually, let me go ahead and read a little bit from my source here coming from Deadline, in which the deal also states that Disney is offering $38 per share in cash and stock and taking on $13.8 billion of Fox's net debt, which would increase the total transaction to $85.1 billion. That doesn't sound that much, really. It sounds like chump change. It announced the counter of the same day that Fox's board was scheduled to have a regularly scheduled meeting. Fox also had slated a special meeting on July 10th, during which it would evaluate the Disney offer, but that meeting has been postponed. So, going from there, there are also some other comments that we have received, even some quotes actually, coming from Bob Iger himself, the CEO of Disney, in which it has stated, now, the acquisition of 21st Century Fox will bring significant financial value to the shareholders of both companies, and after 6 months of integration planning, we're even more enthusiastic and confident in the strategic fit to the assets and the talent at Fox. At a time of dynamic change in the entertainment industry, the combination of Disney's and Fox's unparalleled connection of businesses and franchises will allow us to create more appealing, high-quality content, expand our direct-to-consumer offerings and international presence. And deliver more personalized and compelling entertainment experiences to meet growing consumer demand around the world. And on top of that, there's also another part. I might as well read a little bit of the rest underneath it. Well, not the rest, but like some of it. It says, under the revised deal, the term would remain essentially the same. Fox said in a statement, though it is noted that Disney's offer would allow Fox stockholders to receive cash or stock on a 50-50 prorated basis, the collar on the stock consideration will ensure that Fox shareholders will get a number of Disney shares equal to $38 in value if the average Disney stock price at closing is between $93.53 and $114.32. And we even got a quote here coming from the Fox man himself, Rupert Murdoch, in which it says, "We are extremely proud of the businesses we have built at 21st Century Fox and firmly believe that this combination with Disney will unlock even more value for shareholders as the new Disney continues to set the pace at the dynamic time for our industry. We remain convinced that the combination of 21st Century Fox iconic assets, brands, and franchises with Disney's will create one of the greatest, most innovative companies in the world." So that's kind of the big thing that's going on right now. Disney is stepping in and they are boosting up their price to $71.3 billion in order to make a major counter to Comcast. And you know what's actually pretty interesting right over here is that what they have done is that they really surprise a lot of analysts. Because I've read a lot of like business analysts, they looked at this and they were expecting Disney to make some kind of a similar deal to Comcast, that they would go onto the same level. But what they did not expect is that they would go even higher. And I actually read some reports that some people do believe that maybe there is a possibility that Comcast might even bail out after this, because if they go a little bit more, then they're going to be in serious debt. So that could be... Oh, excuse me. A burp was about to come out. But anyways, as I was saying, the thing is right over here is that Disney wanted to make sure that they are keeping it. And I think that's the big message that Disney is trying to say when they boosted up their price to $71.3 billion, is how serious they are with this deal. They want to make sure that they're the ones who gets 21st Century Fox and no one else. Not even Comcast could get in the way. They want to make sure they keep them in there. And they know that they have the capabilities in order to do so, especially after, I think it was last week's big thing that AT&T and Time Warner were capable to go and make that big merge. So I think that really is a big statement that Disney is trying to make and trying to go and grab them, because I've stated this before that Disney is fully serious when it comes to grabbing Fox, because right now they are in a position where even though they got like $71.3 billion to give out to buy a company, one thing they cannot afford is not get Fox, because they're really setting this right now in order to be this big, they're trying to set themselves up in order to make it this really big deal. They really want to have this integration really happen in order to grow their assets, in order for Bob Iger to grow within the company, in order for many of their future stuff to really be big, like their TV shows, and especially with their streaming service, so that they can really be a serious competitor to Amazon and to Netflix. However, I will say, though, that not everybody is confirmed. Not everything is true. That does, just because Disney is fully serious, it doesn't necessarily mean that Fox would actually go and say, "Oh, okay, we're gonna go buy you instead." It even said in a quote here, now it's stated that in light of the new Disney bid, Fox has not concluded that the June 13th offer from Comcast would count as a superior proposal, as specified by the existing merger agreement with Disney. At the same time, the amendment offer still allows the Fox board to evaluate a competing proposal. So there is a possibility that Fox would consider going elsewhere instead of Disney. And it could be possible, like, who knows, maybe Comcast will come back and they'll be desperate to go and grab Fox from Disney. So part of this right now is just a wait and see attitude. But right now, what we have seen this week is how serious Disney is. They really are serious to go and capture Fox in order to merge them within the Disney company. So that's pretty much their big move that they are trying to present. And what is Fox going to do about it? We'll have to wait and see during this summer, or we'll have to wait and see if Comcast has any response to that, if they will do a counter offer to that as well, and maybe they would want to go and boost up their price from their $65 billion offer. So that's pretty much the whole situation with what is going on with the whole Disney, Fox, and Comcast deal. So with that said, I would like to know what you think, guys. I want to go into the chat wall right over here, and what is your opinion about Disney's brand new move in order to try to have Fox stay with them? Do you think at the end we will see Disney actually go and purchase Fox? Do you think Comcast might actually make a brand new offer and not give up on it? Or how do you think this is going to go? I would like to know, coming from you guys, to see what is going to happen. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Okay, yeah. Yep. Let's see. Okay, a lot of people don't want Comcast. I hope Comcast just gives up. So yeah, I think that is the whole situation with what's going on in this deal. Like, I see a lot of people, they want to root for Disney and not Comcast. If we got two evils, then make sure we go and give it to the lesser of two evils. You know what I mean? All right, so it says, Comcast already owns Comcast already has DreamWorks. Yeah, and you know what's the funny thing is that now we are officially seeing Comcast completely dominating DreamWorks Animation. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but did you guys see the brand new DreamWorks logo on the How to Train Your Dragon 3 trailer? It actually says DreamWorks, and then at the bottom, a Comcast company. So it's a little scary, but yeah, this is a major thing. No Comcast because I want X-Men Tsum Tsums. Oh, that is true. That would be interesting to see if like we would have more Fox branded Disney Tsum Tsums. I actually just got some new Tsum Tsums not too long ago. So I don't know. Like, well, for me, I'm not fully interested in any of like the other Tsum Tsums like from Marvel or really from Star Wars. Like I have C-3PO and R2-D2, but I think I'm fine with like with just sticking to the Disney Tsum Tsums from there. Viacom should get Fox, not Disney. Simpsons shouldn't be a Disney property. Viacom. That is interesting. Well, Viacom never said anything before. Maybe they'll enter into the ring, but I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. 9% of Comcast profit doesn't come from North America, so I could see why they want to buy Fox. Oh, that could be that could be a good point. I mean, Fox does a lot of movies where there are some films, especially like with the Ice Age movies, they're a lot more successful in the international waters than they are like in North America and stuff. Let's see. Oh, on a side note, I'm excited to see new Tsum Tsums of the Dreamfinder and Figment. Does that exist? Like, do those Tsum Tsums exist? Oh my god, if that happens, then I would be so excited. Oh my god, I would buy them ASAP. I actually just did that not too long ago. With there's a Disney pin which features a little piece from the hot air balloon of Muppet Vision 3D. I knew I had to get it, so oh my god, oh, I am so excited. I want them so bad. Okay, but anyways, with all that said and done, let's go ahead into our next story right over here. And I think we're having some pretty, I think for now, we had a pretty good time right now with Disney. I think it's time that we're going to go and take a little break from all the different Disney news. And let's just go ahead and move on to our next story. Let's go ahead and go to a more simple animation-related story, not from Disney, but hey, coincidentally enough, we were just talking about DreamWorks. So let's go ahead into a brand new DreamWorks thing that they are doing, which is the Captain Underpants animated series, which right now, DreamWorks Animation has officially announced the story, the cast, and also the opening for their brand new animated series, which is going to be coming out on Netflix, I believe, called The Epic Tales of Captain Underpants, which, of course, you guys know, is based on the classic books made by Dave Pilkey, and also based on the 2017 Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, in which DreamWorks Animation has done. And a lot of people might have forgotten because The Boss Baby really has gotten all the attention. And it's too bad because honestly, I would say Captain Underpants is legitimately underrated. Yeah, it's extremely silly, but all in the right ways. But first and foremost, let us go ahead right now and go check out the opening, which they have. It's about 2 minutes long, but let us go ahead and check this one out. So hopefully the volume won't be too loud. So let us begin checking this in 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right. I'm sure you guys can hear this well. Yeah, and it is on Netflix.
Meet George Beard and Harold Hutchins. George is the kid on the left with the tie and the flat top. Harold is the one on the right with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. Remember that now. They are fourth graders.
All right, cute references to the book. Cute reference to the books.
Sing-along friends, where you might hear them described as
disruptive,
bad attitude.
But we think of them as smart and sweet.
By the way, this is Sean Astin actually as the voice of the narrator.
Smell your own stinky feet!
With this guy, school principal, Mr. Krupp.
Did you call me?
No.
Because I thought I...
No!
Are his screams regularly like a call like for his for his secretary? Now we got the opening song. Okay. How long was that? Okay. Oh yeah, we only got a few seconds left of this.
He's the captain, not the brightest man. And don't forget when he gets wet, you're back where you began.
Blah, blah, blah.
Put it all together, what could possibly go wrong? Now this is the end of the Captain Underpants song. Find George Beard and Harold Hutchins.
Okay, and that is the opening that we got right over here. Now, in terms of the stuff, the other information that we have gotten, it is said here, using my source, by the way, coming from Animation Magazine, as it states, inspired by the popular children's novels by Dave Pilkey, more than 70 million copies sold worldwide, and the DreamWorks Animation feature, the show follows best buds George Beard and Harold Hutchins, whose over-the-top pranks end up unleashing their comic book creating powers and transforming the cranky principal Mr. Krupp into the bumbling hero Captain Underpants. What could possibly go wrong? And on top of that, they didn't just show some piece of information and the opening, but we also have a series of pictures, which also promises, like in the movie, where we're going to see some different animation mediums. It's not just going to be a hand-drawn series, but they will also use some puppetry, where we see right here, George and Harold are actually a bunch of puppets. And we also got another picture where it's all in claymation, like everything is literally made of clay, almost like I was about to say, like, this is like if they're in a Will Vinton world, but looking at how the characters are modeled here, like with George and Harold and Captain Underpants, Will Vinton would know how to make better claymation characters than this, to be honest. But yeah, they do show all that. And of course, we got the list of the voice actors, which I already stated that Sean Astin is the narrator that we just heard throughout the whole thing. And some people might have noticed that one step up from the movie is that George and Harold are now actually voiced by kids. I mean, like, the voice actors in the movie, they did a great job, but the thing is, Kevin Hart doesn't sound like a kid. I know he's the size of a kid, but he doesn't sound like a freaking kid. You know, so the voices that we got here, we got Jay Gragnotti, who's going to play George, and we got Ramon Hamilton, who will be playing as Harold. Other voices that we got Nat Faxton, who will be playing Captain Underpants, aka Mr. Krupp, or maybe that's the other way around. We also got David Koshner, Tress MacNeille, Lorraine Newman, Stephen Root, Jorge Diaz, Mindy Sterling, Erica Luttrell, Daisy Brookshire, and Evan Kishiyama. They are all going to be providing voices for this Captain Underpants series. Now, I will say, in terms of my opinion on what I just saw with the opening credits of Captain Underpants and like the intro for the Netflix series, I will say, the hand-drawn animation bits, like, a lot of them is really not that bad. It was actually quite impressive to see what they have done. Like, this is definitely a major step up to any of those shows that would just use flash animation and stuff like that. So, I don't know if the actual series itself will have animation as good. Usually, it is common for the opening credits to have better animation than what's in the show, but you know, it does give out a bit of a good first impression visual-wise. And yeah, like I said before, it is a step up the fact that now we got some kids actually voicing the kids instead of some obviously grown adults doing the voices, thinking that they could get away with it like in Gravity Falls. But I will say, however, after seeing the Captain Underpants movie, and this is going to sound really weird when you take it out of context, but the thing is, and keep in mind, this is from someone who is a huge fan of the Captain Underpants books. Like, as a kid, I grew up reading the books. They're hilarious, they're awesome, and even to this day, the humor really does still hold up. And honestly, it does feel like a watered-down version of what we got in the movie, because the thing is, the movie really did set a very high standard. And I know, it's weird to say that about the freaking Captain Underpants movie, but honestly, I really do feel like that, because the thing is, yes, as much as last year people really did focus as to the Boss Baby as the big DreamWorks film and stuff like that, Captain Underpants really did stand out. It was the good DreamWorks Animation film of 2017, and they really nailed it with the humor and even the visual style. It actually successfully captured the Dave Pilkey style in a 3D environment. It managed to work out well. So the humor was spot on, the animation was great. It was a lot of fun to watch. And with the series right over here, one thing that I can definitely say that did feel watered down is the opening credits. Because this thing really is a bit of a step down compared to what we got in the film. Because the theme of Captain Underpants in the movie, that was actually done by Weird Al. And I don't know if you guys still remember it to this day, but that music, that song was awesome. It was great. It was funny. And it really stayed true to the books. So, honestly, it's going to be hard for this series to see if it really is not just going to live up to how the books were executed, but also compared to how it was in the movie. And I know some of you might think that maybe it is a little bit dumb for me to actually say that, oh, well, this is a bit of a watered down version of what we got in the film. Because honestly, it's a TV series based on a movie. I mean, it is extremely rare if we would even get a TV show that is actually better than the movie that it's based on. Because usually that's how that's how they all, not all, but that's how almost all of them are. They're just watered down versions of what we got in the film, and often just go ahead and be made as just kind of made as like a kind of like a side project in order to capitalize more on the success of it. But when it comes to because when it comes to Captain Underpants, the thing is that it wasn't that big of at the box office. It didn't cost DreamWorks much, but it really did get overshadowed by Wonder Woman at the time. So when it comes to this, at least with DreamWorks Animation, right over here, it's actually, honestly, like, it does seem interesting, but I'm not expecting anything that would be better than what we got with Captain Underpants. I mean, DreamWorks is capable of making TV shows that could actually live up to how the movie actually is. I know they did that with the Madagascar shows, like All Hail King Julian and the Penguins of Madagascar. And even the How to Train Your Dragon series actually does have a pretty good cult following, as much as the movie would. So, honestly, for me, I feel like with what we got here, I mean, there are some good things, but I don't know if I would be excited for this as much as I was excited for the Captain Underpants movie. So, honestly, overall, we're just going to have to wait and see with what we would get with this. But who knows? Maybe it could, who knows? Maybe it could be DreamWorks' next new big series, or maybe it won't. But I don't know. I'm impressed with the visuals, but I would have to see more clips from the show itself to see if, like, the humor would be spot on, and if they would actually be faithful to the style, both in terms of the humor and maybe even the look as well, to how it was done in the book. So, yeah, I guess for me, I feel like we would have to have a bit of a wait and see thing. We would have a bit of a wait and see attitude on this one. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go and give the mic to the chat wall right over here. What do you guys think about the new stuff that we got for the Epic Tales of Captain Underpants? Are you guys excited for this series? Are you guys really impressed with what we got in the opening credits? Are you unamused by it? What do you think? What do you guys believe about this new Captain Underpants series? Are you for it? Are you against it? Or are you in a more wait-and-see kind of attitude to see if this would be... Or do you even think this is going to be Netflix's next big series that they have, or just something they'll throw on the side? Let's see. Big improvement over the film voices. They were the worst part of the film. It looks interesting. I think it will pan out well. Okay, so we got some optimism for it. I think this will be better than all the other 2D shows that DreamWorks has done so far. You know, that is actually true, because when you do think of the 2D series developed by Fox, there's not many of them that really rise up to the ranks to many of their big ones like Troll Hunters or How to Train Your Dragon. It's usually with their 3D series that they would usually be more successful with it. Let's see. Some people are asking, it's going to be obviously better than the Boss Baby TV series. And yes, by the way, there is a Boss Baby Netflix series that I think it was released a few months ago. But yeah, that does exist. But I never heard anything from it. Is it really that bad? I don't know. I never heard any good things or bad things. I never heard things in general about it. It just exists and people moved on from it. Looks good, but might not watch at first. Okay, so we got some interest. Some people are thinking, like, we'll wait and see. Possibly interesting. So, I see a lot of people right here, they do have a bit of a wait and see attitude to see what's going to be going on. It's the same, I think someone I think you meant to write quality. It's the same quality as the movie. Okay, it's Meg. I mean meh. Nice little writing there. Okay, so I think with all that, and by meh I mean the Boss Baby Netflix series is meh. Okay, I see what you mean. I mean, like, the movie itself doesn't have much to offer, so I wouldn't be surprised if the show itself doesn't have much to offer either. Okay, so I think with all that said and done, I think we're pretty much good with Captain Underpants right over here. And now it is time that we are going to go into the grand finale. Yes, and this one is going to be very interesting because it's not just a grand finale, but I also have a bonus miscellaneous. So this is not necessarily animation related, but this really does emphasize the crazy part. I'm sure if you guys have been on social media, you probably have heard about this circulating around, and a lot of people in Hollywood did notice this, and it got a whole bunch of attention into it. So it really does depend. I need to ask you guys first. I want to know from the chat wall, what do you guys think of Star Wars The Last Jedi? And I want to know, do you guys think it needs a remake? Yes, there is a Twitter account on there, and I kid you not, it is seriously trying to go and promote to create a remake of the movie that was released just 6 months ago, Star Wars The Last Jedi. And yes, it is aiming to go and try to fund the movie, try to get like that $200 million budget or $250 million budget in order to go and completely remake Star Wars The Last Jedi. So I'm going to be reading from my source here on Mashable, which there is a quote in which it says that the reason why, the plan to make a version of the Last Jedi that is as close to universally actually, you need to see this. The plan to make a version of The Last Jedi that is as close to universally accepted as possible. You'll never please anyone, but at least it wouldn't be blasphemy. So that's the big version. This is obviously coming from like this angry fanboy of Star Wars The Last Jedi who has such a major passionate hatred for this movie that he wants to go and try to recreate Star Wars The Last Jedi in order to eradicate what we have right now, the movie directed by Bryan Johnston. And like I said before, yes, Hollywood is giving this a lot of attention considering how ridiculous it sounds, and even Bryan Johnston himself actually made a tweet, actually retweeted that, trying to say, please, 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 please! He legit wants to see that happen. Yeah, like right here, he made a tweet just saying please. And with all that said, how about let's go ahead and check things out on the official website of The Last Jedi. Or the website that promotes remaking The Last Jedi right over here. So yeah, it's this, as you can see, it's this cheapy little website right over here. Welcome to the rebellion. And I'll read you what it says in the caption right over here. This is a campaign to provide Disney an opportunity to course correct with the Star Wars franchise. The fans are completely divided, and the core goal of Star Wars has been abandoned. And that's the sad thing. There are a lot of Star Wars fans out there who hate Star Wars: The Last Jedi so much they view it as the Donald Trump of the Star Wars universe, where all it has done is completely divide the community instead of uniting them together and celebrating it, and it made Star Wars even worse than before. So that's how they view The Last Jedi. Anyways, let me go back to reading this. The goal is not to make one half of the fandom happy over the other. Yes, it is. Stop lying. Don't bullcrap on this. It is to make a film that the fandom in general as a whole enjoys. The hero archetype of the original films is what makes these so great. It made characters that everyone could relate to, regardless of their backgrounds and beliefs. Oh, you mean like Rey? You mean like what they're doing with Rey right now? I don't see the problem with what's going on right now, so no longer having this core element, along with poor storytelling, has made the franchise divide and in disarray. And keep in mind, he is still talking about this is all about The Last Jedi. Oh, and hold on. There's something even better. The producers behind this have pledged to cover the budget, but you can pledge an amount to have your voice heard. You do not have to put financial or personal information in, just an email address and a pledge. Oh, you don't have to put your PayPal info. You don't have to put your bank account. Just give us your email and money will magically appear to us. And yes, there is a little section right over there, which apparently it also has a little box that describes the total pledge that they have so far. And from there, keep in mind, it's only been a few days since it has opened. It's only been a few days since this campaign all began and stuff like that. And it has, right now, the total pledge, as I'm recording this, actually, let me refresh to see if this has updated. Okay, so the total pledge, apparently, the website stated that it got, if it can freaking load, wait for it. This is the amount that apparently it has. $134,403,020. Let me go and repeat that. $134,403,020. That's apparently the amount that they got in their pledge box. And apparently you just write them an email, just say the pledge, and apparently they have it. Apparently they would have it. That's how it works, because they got this. Yeah, and by the way, the way that they're funding this is not through Kickstarter, it's not through Indiegogo, it's not through GoFundMe, it's not through Patreon, it's through Google Forms. And all it says, here, give me your email address and give me your pledge. Oh, and the pledges. Oh, the reward system. Oh my god, guys. We gotta see the reward system. It is beautiful. Oh my god. You gotta check this out. Okay. So, let's see what they got offered. So apparently, if you go and pledge them $10, then you'll go and get a ticket to see the remake in theaters. Now let's go ahead and check the next one. If you pledge $25, you will get the movie ticket and you'll have a t-shirt that says, I saved Star Wars. I saved Star Wars. You'll get a t-shirt that says, I saved Star Wars, because you gave money for a remake of The Last Jedi. And then if you pledge $50, you'll get those rewards and you'll get a limited edition poster of The Last Jedi Remake. Okay, so you'll get a poster as well. Oh boy. Yeah, because of course you want that on your freaking wall. Alright, but there's more. If you would go and pledge $100, if you want to go and give them $100, you will get all that I mentioned before, and you will be an extra in the remake. I don't know how they're going to cover the cost to fly you to wherever they want to send you, but apparently you can be an extra in the remake. And that is a massive red flag. Now, I have actually done, a few weeks ago, I actually did do some extra work. Like, I was an extra for a TV show not too long ago. And I'm just going to say this right now. If you have to go pay them in order to be an extra for a movie and they don't pay you, that is a major problem. That is a major concern. That's when you have to start raising questions. I'm just saying. Okay, so, but wait, there is more. Apparently, if you go and pledge $250 to them, you'll get all those rewards from before, and you will get a behind-the-scenes live stream during filming. So you gotta keep in mind, apparently, being an extra in the remake is cheaper than getting access to behind-the-scenes live streams. Really let that sink that in. But wait, let's continue, shall we? If you pledge $500, you'll be able to get all that, and you'll get a personalized Force FX lightsaber. Because of course, you need to pay $500 to get all those rewards, and then suddenly, you'll have a lightsaber. Yeah, because the reward to get a lightsaber is $500 frickin' dollars. I mean, I'm sure there are some lightsabers out there that do cost $500, but a personalized Force FX lightsaber, oh boy. I think this is getting ridiculous. Oh, but I'm not done yet, though. Things aren't even more ridiculous yet. It gets crazier. If you go and pledge $1,000, you will get all the rewards that I've mentioned before, and you will get a prop from the remake. You'll actually get a prop. It could be just a rock. It could be the lightsaber Rey gives to Luke Skywalker. Who knows? They don't specify, but hey, you're gonna get a prop. Okay. Then, of course, but then things get a whole lot crazier. If you go and pledge $5,000, $5,000. Now, if you pledge $5,000, not only will you get and go and get all those rewards, but you are also going to get your name in the credits. Apparently, that's how much you could actually spend. $5,000 and your name will actually go and appear in the credits. How insane does that sound? $5,000, your name is going to be slapped into this freaking Last Jedi remake. Oh, but then, last but not least, we have the grand finale right here. Of course, we actually got the $10,000 pledge. Yes, if somehow you have more money than you do have brain cells and you just need to spend it, then you can go and give this thing a total of $10,000, and you'll get all the rewards that I've mentioned, every single reward, and you'll be invited to the premiere. Yep, that's how you get to the premiere, folks. You'll go and spend $10,000 to them, and you'll get all that stuff, and you'll be invited to the premiere. That's all, and that's all the pledges that you can. But have you noticed something? Have you guys noticed something that's a little bit crazy? Now, the max pledge that you can do, apparently, to here, and it even says so, like in the Google forms, you can pledge up to $10,000. Apparently, you can pledge only up to $10,000, and that's it. And somehow, they've managed to get. I want to refresh again. Yeah, I want to refresh again to see if it grows. I just want to see. Like, apparently, they got a whole bunch of people to pledge, and now they actually got a total of close to $135 million. Apparently, that's the whole thing, and the purpose is to go and remake The Last Jedi, because apparently it is the cancer to the world, and we need to destroy that entirely. Now, let me just go ahead and just make a few comments about this thing right over here. Like, number one, I just need to say that is it really that hard to accept that all the things that happen in The Last Jedi is canon? Because here's the thing. I think we can all agree here, and I can even say this objectively, that there are much worse things that happened in the Star Wars universe than in The Last Jedi. Like, things that were legitimately bad. I mean, if we live in an age where we can accept things like Jar Jar Binks, midichlorians, and Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker walking around going, "Now that's pod racing!" If we can accept all that that's in the Star Wars universe, I think we can easily accept The Last Jedi. And on top of that, yeah, like some people are even saying, I'm seeing in the chat wall, the Star Wars Christmas special. That's a thing that exists in the Star Wars universe, rather if people like it or not. And I'm just going to say right now that accepting The Last Jedi within the Star Wars universe, it doesn't sound ludicrous at all, because there are plenty of weird things that are actually accepted in the Star Wars universe. In fact, yeah, and some people are even mentioning like some of the TV shows, like the Ewok animated series. That is actually a thing that's in the Star Wars universe that people accepted. And I'm just gonna go and say this right now, that there is actually one thing that might be the weirdest thing that people accept that's within the Star Wars universe, is actually an episode of The Muppet Show. I kid you not, the episode of The Muppet Show where Mark Hamill was a special guest star along with C-3PO, R2-D2, and Chewbacca, there are some Star Wars fans out there would argue that it exists within the Star Wars universe. So technically, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Gonzo, the whole crew in Pigs in Space, that's apparently in the Star Wars universe. And if we look into the episode itself, it is officially canon in the Star Wars world that Mark Hamill, the actor, is actually the cousin of Luke Skywalker. That's a legitimate thing, and they all say that yes, it is within the Star Wars universe. So honestly, if that can be accepted in the Star Wars world, then I think we can accept The Last Jedi. And also, the idea of trying to remake a Star Wars movie for the purpose of trying to fix this, I mean, let's be honest, guys. Let's just be real for a moment. I think there are some other things in the Star Wars world where it definitely needs more of a priority to remake than The Last Jedi. I mean, if you're so desperate to remake The Last Jedi, why not remake things like the prequels? Because I think we can all agree they're much worse than what The Last Jedi did. I'm not saying The Last Jedi is a perfect film. Like, for me, I really enjoyed it. It does have its flaws, sure. But I think the prequels might need some things to go and fix up. Because let's be real here. Like, it would be great to see if they can actually fix up the things that happen in Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones or even Revenge of the Jedi. Just to make it a little less goofy and take off some ridiculous ideas. I'm just saying, it would be a bit of a better idea to focus on that more so than just remaking The Last Jedi. And probably, if there is one argument that I can make that could pretty much destroy the entire purpose of what they're trying to do. Now, let's go ahead and pretend that we're gonna go and, let's pretend that we live in this hypothetical world that somehow, magically, this Last Jedi remake actually exists. That somehow this managed to successfully create the Last Jedi remake that they wanted to go and create. You know what's gonna happen? The original is still going to exist. Because that's kind of the big thing with the haters of The Last Jedi. Their biggest purpose right now, their biggest mission, what they want to do the most, is to make sure that The Last Jedi does not exist. They want to eradicate it from the face of the earth, and they want everybody to just forget it. They don't want this to be canon. They don't want this to actually be a part of the Star Wars lore. So, they want to try to go and create a remake in order to fix all their little issues that they have with it. But the thing is, they cannot erase history. they cannot change what's already been done. So if they do create this remake, the original is still going to exist. It's not going to solve any issues whatsoever. You're still going to have people that would be polarized with it, you know, and who knows, like knowing looking at the quality of this frickin' website, I think this thing is going to make people appreciate The Last Jedi done by Rian Johnson a lot more, because remakes cannot replace the original. If you don't believe me, look at Sony's failed attempt with Ghostbusters, or even look at the Disney live action remakes. Like, even with Beauty and the Beast, for example, that movie made more than $1 billion at the box office, but nowadays, very few people mention it. And when we say Disney's Beauty and the Beast, people are 99%, there's a 99% chance that people are going to think of the 1991 animated film that was the first one ever to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. That's the thing. Remakes are just remakes. Like, they're often used to be just cashing in on the success of the original, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, the mission that this is going to do, yeah, you could try to remake The Last Jedi, but the original is never gonna go away. I'm just saying. So overall, I look at this, and honestly, for me, like, the way I see this, honestly, it is really cute, honestly. This is actually pretty funny to see how desperate the haters of The Last Jedi are going. Now, I'm not saying that The Last Jedi haters are funny in general. There are some times when they would really go out of the line. Like a few weeks ago when they were bullying and harassing Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose in the movie. They drove her out of Instagram. And they were just harassing her and bullying her purely for misogynistic and racist purposes. That was really bad. It was something that the Star Wars community should really be ashamed of themselves for. But when you look at this is honestly hilarious in a way that it's kind of funny to see how desperate that they're trying to eradicate The Last Jedi from the face of the earth just because they hate it so much. And especially the fact that if there is anybody that is being hurt in this case, that if there's anybody that's being that's actually paying the price, it's actually the Star Wars haters themselves, because if they actually are giving money to this remake of The Last Jedi, then they're doing it at their own will. They're doing this to themselves. They're just throwing away money for an empty purpose, per se. So really, when it comes to this case right over here, honestly, there are two options. Number one, this is really from a butthurt Star Wars fanboy who hates The Last Jedi so much, and he's lying his way to making all the Last Jedi haters look good. He doesn't have any of that money, he doesn't have any of that producers, he's just trying to say that so that he can make everybody hate The Last Jedi for some reason or another. And from there, of course, that could be one big option. It's just a butthurt Star Wars fanboy that's just completely lying about the amount of money that he has or anything like that. Because if you have $135 million right now, then I'm sure some of that money would be used in order to make a better looking website than this. I'm just saying. Does it even say where they made the website? No? Okay. I'm just curious. I just wanted to check. But on top of that, it's either that or this could actually be a brilliant troll. This guy knows exactly what he is doing. This is actually a person that does not think that The Last Jedi is bad, or he's not as angry about The Last Jedi. This could actually be from a Last Jedi fan, and he's just completely trolling the Last Jedi haters. And if he actually, honestly, I wouldn't actually be surprised if this person actually did get some money through Star Wars haters. Maybe at this point, he might have gotten around 35, maybe 35, or maybe not 35, but I mean, he might have gotten, a 5-digit number, or, it would amaze me if they got over $100,000 in donations, but, it wouldn't surprise me if they got like thousands of dollars through actual pledge from people who hate Star Wars The Last Jedi. And it would be amazing if we would actually see this person responsible for all this coming out to say that, you know, he was just trolling the haters, and all the money that is given to him for this Last Jedi remake is not going to be spent on like that all that money is not for the purpose of the Last Jedi remake, and instead he'll just give it to charity, like saving families from Trump's concentration camps, you know? That would actually make it amazing. So honestly, this is actually honestly, that would actually make this beautiful. In fact, I wouldn't actually be surprised if it was actually from someone who worked on the Star Wars movies. If it was actually from, like, Rian Johnson himself. That would be beautiful. That would really be amazing right over there. But yeah, honestly, I don't know. But overall, this is honestly a really stupid idea. But this is honestly something to point and laugh at the haters, because really, their hatred over a movie has really gotten so far to the point that they are trying to go and push the limits. Like, they really are trying their hardest to really present to the world how much they hate a certain movie, and it's really been affecting their lives. And you know, like, the saddest part of all this, you know what's really sad? Is the fact that they're still complaining about a movie that has been released around 6 months ago. Keep in mind, The Last Jedi was released on December of 2017. And people to this day are still mad. They are still so butthurt of what The Last Jedi did. Apparently they're angry at the world. They're angry at Disney that it made so much money. They're angry at critics that they were giving it high praise. They're even angry at other people that they're saying good things at The Last Jedi, and they're just not taking it. So honestly, this is something that it is actually an enjoyable moment to see how haters are so butthurt over a movie. So honestly, I just see this and, you know, it's something that's worth getting a good laugh. I just gotta say. But hopefully they won't take it too far and attack people with it. But for now, this is just a stupidly funny experience. So with all that said, I would like to know in the chat wall, what do you guys think about remaking The Last Jedi? And raise your hand if you're gonna go and pledge some money for remaking The Last Jedi. Who's gonna go and make that $10,000 pledge? Hey, anybody? Come on. I'm sure you got some money to spare to give to remake The Last Jedi and make Star Wars great again. Anybody there? No? Nobody? People attack... Oh, man. Ooh, sorry to hear that, Pixar fan. People attack me for loving The Last Jedi. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. Those people can't handle an opinion other than their own. Yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot like with it's a lot like what I ranted about with the cartoon community. There are a lot of people out there that just honestly, they cannot handle hearing an opinion other than their own, and they'll do their best to just silence it. So yeah, good luck even getting Carrie Fisher. Oh, that is true, actually. I mean, you can't really make The Last Jedi considering that, like, Princess Leia was an integral part, so you can't really do that. Holiday specials and Ewoks TV movie exist. How is The Last Jedi worse? Yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, and especially, like, can you even afford to get, like, all those major effects? Can you even afford to bring in all the can you even get all the actors to return? Can you get, like, Adam Driver to come back, or who's the girl's name? Or like, can you get John Boyega to come back? Who played Rey? Oh yeah, get Mark Hamill. But oh man, who is she? Oh man, my brain's not as working. Daisy Ridley. Yes. Yeah, are you gonna get Daisy Ridley? Are you gonna get all those people back? Seriously, like, it's honestly ridiculous. But yeah. I thought I would share this, honestly, I thought I would share this little grand finale to give you guys a bit of a good laugh. Maybe some of you will get, like, you'll facepalm on this, but honestly, let's look on the bright side and just laugh at the sheer stupidity of something like this would actually exist. I mean, that's what Hollywood in general is doing right now, so, and I even saw some tweets from people in Hollywood saying that, like, when this production begins, then they're going to make a remake of the remake of The Last Jedi. So, yeah, hopefully you guys will get, get a good laugh at this. So, I think, with all that said, that's pretty much it with what I got with this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So, I just want to start things off by giving a huge thanks to everybody in the chat wall participating in the show, and to all you beautiful viewers and listeners for checking out this episode. So, tune in next week. Maybe we will get more crazy stories going on. Maybe we will get a little bit more than just Disney giving out some major news. But with all that said and done, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!